Now, we do know this to be a rematch from the qualifier stages. Is there any sort of advantage Carnage might have going into this, or is this maybe more Pit going to take this one away as well?
While it's still a question mark, the fact that Carnage has a lot of LAN experience does help. I mean, being here, having light shining in your face, having this awesome smoke machine going on, you know, it has a huge effect. And also, the network being so low latency helps as well.
Well, it is definitely game time, and I'm going to throw it over to Blue and Machiavelli. You're going to bring you the action.
Thank you very much, and we've already had our first kill coming in from Pit as he takes out Carnage's Ranger right within the first 20 seconds of round number 1. So Pit off to a hot start here as we jump into the new duel format for Quake Champions.
Yeah, he just pushed into position with the shield and you know, rained down some rockets on Carnage for a quick lead. That's huge. I mean, in a duel, I mean, it's really nice to get a quick frag like that, get control, and it really gets you in a good rhythm right away.
Now, for those old school players out there, for those of you who have never been able to dabble in Quake, the format for Quake Champions is going to work a little bit differently. As you can see at the top, each player has 3 champions on their roster, and the way that the rounds will work is that basically the first player to knock out all 3 of their opponent's champions or have a lead in champions overall, as a nice frag comes back out there from Carnage, will actually win the round. So right now it's tied, 1 kill to 1 kill.
Yeah, a little, wow, great rocket placement there from Carnage. You know, Pit put his shield up, but I think he tried to LG a little too much, and when you shoot, the shield comes down, even though the cooldown, yeah, so he really let himself vulnerable to that rocket, and Carnage made him pay.
Pit gonna hit a little bit of rocket damage as he does fall back for the retreat, but right now trying to scavenge. Doesn't have a whole lot of armor, just working with the base health pool. Doesn't have the greatest kit either, only has the rockets, hasn't been able to find the LG. You'll note that there's actually gonna be no railgun coming into play on this map, actually, because of how small it tends to play out. So only gonna be having LG and rockets as the big power weapons that these players have to look to control. They're skirmishing around each other right now, but no one making a huge amount of progress. The power spawn coming in for the health in a second. Pit does miss the pickup, but he does a lot of damage to Carnage and basically makes that pickup a bit of a moot point.
Yeah, Carnage still in really good shape though. Even though he took some damage, he took both major items, you know, the heavy armor and mega health. So he's still in good shape right here. Pit's going to be kind of looking for those light armors and stuff, trying to get back in control, because right now Carnage is the one in control. So Pit needs to kind of, you know, he needs to build the stack back up, try to utilize those light armors, and get himself in position for an ambush. And
Carnage is continuing to control the situation. Once again, going back in, he was able to pick up the armor. He's got the health again. You can see he gets the tank medal there too, because he controls both of it. So Carnage has every ability that he needs right now to be able to jump in and engage. He just doesn't have his die orb up yet, but oh, it's tagged again. That's the one thing that I think is keeping Carnage back right now. Is Pit keeps getting off these really nice rocket shots, but once again, they are going to dive in for an engagement. Carnage trying to switch over, but at the last second, we do see the die orb come out from Pit that saves his own life and completes the second kill against Carnage, now knocking out his second champion.
Yeah, good rocket play from Pit. He really just outfought Carnage there a little bit, and you know, the dire orb even at the end was kind of like the coup de grace. I mean, I think the rockets, he had Carnage on the ropes anyway, and it's just a little highlight frag, you know, instead of just a normal frag. Yeah. He decided to go for the highlight kill. It's nice.
Just one of the security of it there, so nicely played out. Pit once again back into an advantage position. Carnage now in his last champion for this round, so if the Nyx ends up going down and dying, then that will be the loss of the round for Carnage, and Pit will start off with an advantage here on this map that is played on a series of 5 rounds, so first to 3 will win the map.
So now that, you know, Pit's in pretty good control right now. He should be running both items. Looks like Carnage stole that mega health. But same thing applies. You know, when you're not in control, you really want to try to run those light armors and run your opponent into an ambush. Obviously, he's running between the major items.
See the stealth pop get out there for the Nyx too, and with that, Carnage was able to use it. Got a nice amount of damage off when he came out of the stealth. Did have to disengage for a second, but on the re-engagement, completed the trade kill, and now has brought things back down into a 1v1. And it's going to be a mirror matchup as well, which means things can end really quick if you're not paying attention, because these are well, both of them are on this champion, of course, but it is essentially the squishy champion of the game. One up.
And both these guys are really landing their rockets, so as we've seen with Nyx, she doesn't last very long in a rocket fight. You can see, oh, nice. Very good reversal here.
Pop stealth pretty much changed his life. Gets the head-on shot there. The airborne as well going to go over to the LG. And with that, Carnage is able to complete the final kill with a comeback as well, because he was lagging behind a little bit there. But thankfully got the trade kill towards the end of it, and then got the final kill towards the end to win himself round number 1.
Yeah, just that's a textbook setup. Nyx versus Nyx. The first Nyx pops the Ghost Walk. Carnage correctly waited till she came back, then popped his to dodge the rocket, and then put himself in position to get the kill. Good play by Carnage.
Oh, we've got Carnage back here now. He's immediately going to find himself jumping into combat against the clutch over here for Pit. Last time Pit did win out in this initial fight, but I believe he started the Ranger last time, didn't actually go right for the clutch. So now he's going to be dived back in, tries to use the Dart to close the gap, but not going to work. Pit does come out on top with another quick frag, pretty much at the same timing as well, just about 20 seconds into the round.
Yeah, just pushing him around a little bit with Clutch. As you saw it early in the last round, so I'm wondering if Clutch may be causing Carnage a little bit of problems.
Yeah. It does take a lot of damage from it, but he's got control over the armor. He's going to lose the health, I believe, with Carnage being able to swing back down below and pick that back up. But Pit still in a great position by having that full armor. He's got a massively higher health pool than what Carnage is going to have over there on the visor. But the visor also has that nice active you can use if Pit wants to try and play this sneakier playstyle. We found out very easily by the active ability, but Pit gonna dive right in. He's got the shield ready to go. Carnage stood no chance, unfortunately, right there. And Pit is in great control of this matchup now.
Yeah, this is great way to utilize that shield. We've seen it time and time again. For those unfamiliar, I mean, with Clutch, you pop that shield and you get in close proximity using those rockets. You can see you took the time, make sure you landed them. Because the shield's up, you have that extra time. Just a clean kill by Pit.
It's going to be in a little bit of trouble, though, getting chased down by a whole lot of LG damage. Still has plenty of armor to support it, so he's not going to be eating as much there, and recovered his health pretty quickly, too. So he's in a great position, just trying to read into where exactly Carnage is moving. He's got a pretty good lock on it. Careful those rockets with the dive back in. Misreads the position slightly. Cover the armor coming up in a second. He's being held back by the LG. He can safely swerve around, but not for long enough, apparently, as Carnage did way too much damage as LG was on point, and he did lock it down to complete the trade kill. And he's going to go for a quick refrag, but no! Pit, with the telefrag coming out there, completes one of the final kills of the round and takes round number 2, tying us up at 1-1.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that Ranger Dire Orb. We've seen it in several duels, people utilizing it, and especially in critical situations, they'll really throw that out there. And Pit, that's 2 telefrags there from the Dire Orb he got in that match so far, so he's definitely been utilizing it.
He's been utilizing it quite well, too. Normally, you only get 1 of those a game at most, and that's a real treat, but we got 2 in the same round. So Pit on the board. He's going to look to continue that advantage. Just try to plunge in for a sneak attack. Now you can see him using the increased movement very well, but Carnage finally gets revenge, and he gets his own kill now with the Dire Orb 2. Vengeance from the last round, as he's going to take the advantage at the start of round number 3.
Yeah, that was just a great counter by Carnage there. Pit was trying to set up the kills like he saw in the previous rounds, where he'd get aggressive, pop the shield, get close. Carnage was waiting for him that time and just made him eat that Dire Orb. Shield or not, you're going to get telefrag.
Yep. So Carnage finally weighing out Pit's aggression here, as he has been rather aggressive in his playstyle so far. Started off a little bit more timid, because I think Carnage was able to get the advantage back in round 1, but he started off a lot more front and center here on these second and third rounds. This time, though, he's going to reserve himself in. He's trying to take that duel with the LG, he just doesn't have the health. He actually had Carnage down to a pretty low point. He still has him down that low. He's going to make a run over here to pick up the armor. He'll probably lose the mega health, and in fact, immediately he does. Carnage's going to get the pick up on that, but now, because he has the armor, he has a great advantage for that upcoming fight there, and he can claim the trade kill, bringing it back down into another 2v2.
If I was going to point to something there about, how that frag really happened, I think Carnage made a little miscalculation about which major item was up first. And so because of that, Pit had the time after he picked up the armor to get back to Mega Health quickly, and Carnage wasn't in good position yet after picking up the Mega Health, which really put Pit in great position to get a frag, and that's what he did.
And of course, we haven't talked about the power-ups yet and how this plays in for some of the newer players out there that haven't necessarily dived into Quake just yet to be able to figure that out. Those timers at the top left, players are not going to be able to have access to that. They have to keep track of that on their own. That's a huge part of the skill of Quake, is not only being able to frag out well, as there's a nice rocket hit from Pit right there. I think he's going to try to go for the completion of this kill too. He's got him on the ropes. He's down to about 50 HP. Can he actually figure out where Carnage is going, though, as Carnage is on the hunt for some health? There's the pop of the visor ability there too, as you can hear in the background, but Pit's still going to be able to find him out. Just can't get great damage going. He's trying to hit that last rocket or 2 that's needed, and there it is. Another kill from Pit, as now he takes the advantage again. But anyway, going back onto my point there, a huge part of the game is not only just being able to frag, like we just saw there, but also being able to be able to keep track of these major power-ups and make sure that you control them so you have a constant advantage over your opponent.
Yes, I mean, controlling that is huge, having an extra stack, especially when you get to the higher levels. You see these guys both landing great shots, so having that extra stack is critical. And then, of course, there's the deeper strategy plays off that. And then you start baiting items and laying traps, and there's a whole, when you get to the professional level like these guys got traps for traps.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty more that plays into the skill required for Quake as well. The movement, as you can see, these players are jumping around to be able to keep their speeds high and give them the speed they need to jump in and engage in a lot of these situations. Carnage is down on to his last champion, of course, for this round, but is in a little bit of a rough patch himself. He kind of got cornered a couple moments ago, and now he's trying to recover. Did that quite nicely, but he's still going to be, oh, he got cornered here, so there's no way he's surviving that one. Carnage, another trade, and once again, we're going to go down to a 1v1 on the Nixes.
Well done by Carnage right there. Just caught him coming in out of that little alleyway there. It's kind of a rough area to be in. You don't have a lot of avenue to escape, and he just lined him up with a lightning gun and took him out. So great frag by Carnage.
And both the Nixes take quite a bit of damage from that initial engage. You can see they both pop their stealth as well. Now Carnage is going to try to dive in. Might have chose the wrong weapon for this fight, though. Thankfully, at the very least, he pushes Pit back a little bit here, so he's going to be able to fall back, regroup, hopefully, and get himself a little bit more health. Pick back up. Oh, just barely skirts past Pit there without him realizing it. Still gets brought down to 33 HP. Thankfully, gets himself full armor, so he's going to be able to pick that up, buying him a little bit more room to take extra damage here. Still trying to recover his mouth. Granted, not much that he has overall here, but now he's right in the position for Pit. He's trying to take this fight here. The LG may not prove to be the best in that range, so switches back over. Now trying to read into it with the rockets. The stealth pop early from Carnage isn't going to be enough to get the kill as he dives back in. His opponent will conversely pop the stealth and now try to chase down Carnage. Is it going to work? As Carnage over to the shotgun is doing enough damage to once again just push Pit back. Both of these players sub 25 HP at the end of that fight. So they did just respect each other, backed away, and chose to re-engage at a later time.
So I like the way these guys are playing. They're willing to take those risks, those calculated risks. Both guys were low, but you can see they're really vying for that frag. Not afraid, you know, to trust in your ability. You know, one of the things at this level is keeping those emotions in check, and you know, just playing your game. So sometimes, you know, you can let the pressure get to you. Maybe you won't push when you usually do. It doesn't seem like it's getting to either of these guys right now.
Yeah, and you can see Carnage really trying hard to lock down the location of Pit and knock him out. He's got about 5 seconds here to maybe get him where he has a slight advantage because he got that armor pickup, and now he's going to dive back in. He knows exactly where his opponent is. He did try to go for the instant kill there, forced the pop of the stealth, so now he's going to run, reposition. Was hoping that he would fall through the portal, but not going to happen.
Sudden death.
And as we see now, as we pass the 5-minute marker, now in a normal match, if one player had one more champion than the other, then they would be able to win the round just off that timer. But now, because they're both tied at 1, they do take this to sudden death. And we have another near end to the fight there as Carnage was brought down to 10 HP. Just barely escaped it, able to recover his health, but he's still in the hot seat here as Pit is nearby.
Yeah, that was a big recovery there by Pit, because Carnage kind of was looking to ambush, and then Pit hit him with some really good rockets. Looks like he went for the kill, though, there. He could have probably secured that armor and even mega health after that. I think Pit kind of let Carnage a little bit off the hook, maybe. We'll see how this plays out, because the armor was sitting there, so he could have grabbed that first, and then the timing was split, and then pick up the mega health, because Carnage was going to be in a weakened state, kind of looking to get anything he could. He wasn't going to challenge for major items.
Once again, the stealth pops come out. Carnage gets a little bit of a stealth advantage off of that one. Great work with the LG so far. He's got him on the ropes, and there you go. It's going to be Carnage that now takes a second round for himself and puts him first up to map point.
Yeah, in that round, I really think that decision there by Pit, I know he was thinking, because Carnage was low, as we saw, he had 10 health, so Pit's thinking, you know, go finish him, get a machine gun kill, but Carnage, for his credit, took a nice angle of escape and really separated the two, and Pit, you know, went for the mega health, and it really let Carnage get a little bit of a stack and enabled that kill. So yeah, it really comes down to those little micro decisions in this game. It's very interesting.
Nice little bump from Carnage there to make the shield into the moot point. And was looking actually like he wasn't going to be able to get the damage to find the frag, but quick switch over to the SMG, and Carnage, once again, another quick frag for him. And this time it is from Carnage, not Pit. So first 20 seconds of every round so far has been action-packed. We've seen a kill happen there. Neither of these guys wanting to kind of sit back and play passively to build up their kits. They've been okay with just picking up a weapon or two and then diving right into the fight, as we've seen in all 4 rounds so far. Carnage is going to be a little bit careful. Pit knows he's sitting in there. Does some great damage on the return and even gets the second kill, too. Perfect from Carnage. Now he's a 3v1 advantage with still 4 minutes in the round to go.
Just perfect rockets here. Looking at the replay, look at 198, and then the fall away for another. I mean, just great rocket play there by Carnage. And of course, dodging the dire orb. You know, that was he was ready for it that time.
That now he's gonna be able to move in, trying to pick up a little bit of extra timer bubbles there to be able to bring his active on closer cooldown here, since he's going up against the Nyx. Having that dire orb is a good escape mechanism to avoid getting surprised on when the Nyx jumps back out of stealth. There we go, the dive in from Carnage is going to force the pop of the stealth. Not too surprising there, you see Pit getting away. Now it's all about hunting down where the Nyx goes after that. This is where the dire orb comes in. It gives Carnage an extra chance to try and dive back into the fight. Unfortunately, he missed it this time, so he is going to let Pit escape to recover his health a little bit before the next fight.
Yeah, going in for the kill there, Carnage trying to get the finishing blow, but in the process, similar to Pit in the last round, he gave Pit that heavy armor, so he's kind of let Pit a little bit back into the match. He's still got good control, but Pitt's not completely out of it. As we've seen these matches, these rounds, they can swing really fast. So it's up to Carnage to close it in now.
Pitt being pushed into a corner here now. He's once again going to have to pop that stealth, gives him a reposition. He's not going to choose to take the fight, though. Does choose to fall away since the full armor spawn came back up. Was able to easily take that, but conversely, because the timers are pretty much right next to each other, Carnage is also able to easily take the mega health and keep himself at a nice advantage, too.
Yeah, if you're Pitt right now, you're looking to just get a good Ghost Walk ambush, get yourself back into this match. If you're Carnage, you're thinking you want him to burn that Ghost Walk and get the finish like he just did.
And there you go with that. Carnage finally able to lock down the Nyx. I believe put Pitt into a position where he didn't actually have the stealth to use right there, and I think that's the reason that the Nyx finally ends up going down and Carnage is able to complete that kill. And of course, importantly, complete the map as he does take control of it 3-1 there, winning the first map in this series.
Yeah, very strong play from Carnage, especially towards the end. You know, early on, right, we saw Pitt get the first frag, and actually in the first 2 rounds, we saw Pitt get the first frag with Clutch, and it seemed like maybe Carnage would, you know, maybe struggle a little bit, but it seemed like he found a rhythm. Really started to land some, I mean, some of the rockets he was landing were just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, really were. So it seemed like he was starting to read Pitt really well. Even the Ghost Walk, sometimes he's kind of on top of where he was already going. So yeah, just good turnaround from Carnage, and Pitt, you know, hey, he's playing sharp too. So it's really coming down to just a few moments here and there in those rounds. So it's up to Pitt to kind of, you know, make the adjustment and you know, refocus for this next map.
I think we saw a great example of how well Carnage was able to read into the situation there in round 4 when they were in the Ranger v Ranger fight, when Carnage was able to dodge the dire successfully, and not only that, but he had a nice little flick reaction when we first saw Pitt jump into the fight and engage to get a full 100 damage rocket, and then spin it over to his right quickly when he did see the dire being used to complete it with, I think, 1 or 2 more rocket shots just to get the kill there. Carnage, really, it took him a minute to get into it, because it did look like Pitt was actually going to be kind of dominant for the opening stages of the map, but afterwards, we definitely saw Carnage coming in, and he took really full control for rounds 3 and 4 of that first map.
Yeah, it really was a nice read. You know, he had Pitt coming around the corner to set up that initial 100 damage rocket, and then, like you said, he followed up with a 98. So right away, it's like 198 damage with 2 shots, and then, you know, the fall-away rocket was just the finisher. But it's just a nice read. It just shows the level these players are at, to be able to predict movements of another human being. These aren't bots. These aren't, you know, it's not AI you're playing against. These are humans. Totally, you know, everybody plays different in this game. It's just interesting to see players be able to read into somebody else like that. Almost it's like they're reading their mind.
Yeah, and this is, of course, now, as you can see, we're loading in the Blood Covenant, which has been the quintessential map here for the Quake beta. I believe it was one of the first maps to be added into the beta. We've seen played out to these players have had plenty of time to jump into it and, of course, play it out, as they're now in warm-up, of course, while we are going to get started. You may have seen it there for a second, too, before we actually did load into the map, but there's another mechanic to this new dual game mode, and that's the draft, as well, as these players do have an opportunity to go through their picks. There's no bans, it's just picks, but they do, through those picks, because they're split a little bit, they have an opportunity to sort of counterpick each other's champions and whatnot.
Yeah, and it also allows them to pick champions that suit their play style, their strengths. You know, everybody in Quake's kind of interesting because it does have that history, as we've talked about, you know, from Quake 1 all the way till now. So there have been different iterations, different feels to Quake. And one of the things I love about champions is that they kind of gave that different feel to various champions. So it's all about what you're comfortable with, but there is also that counterpick strategy, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and we see examples of this already with Carnage going for a more kind of standardized layout here. He doesn't have any really heavy, tankier champions in his layout. So the champions themselves actually have different health pools, speed, and maximum armor amounts that they're allowed to have based on who they are, obviously, here. Now, Pitt's gone the other direction. He has this really tanky character to start himself on right from the beginning, and that's the Clutch. And that's a large part of the reason why in the last map he was able to play so aggressively, get right up in Carnage's face without too many consequences.
Yeah, Clutch is a very interesting character because the hitbox really is the size of a house. So it's easy to line up a Clutch with, like, right here, like railgun, lightning gun, that kind of thing. But on the flip side, that shield ability and his stack, so if you push a scenario, as we've seen earlier in the last map with Pitt, you know, he's popping the shield and getting up close with rocket launcher, it's devastating.
Carnage trying to take a little bit of a fight earlier on here, getting some nice damage off on a Pitt. Not really a whole lot to discourage him from continuing that fight. But this is a much bigger map. We have the rail coming into play now, as I'm sure you've already seen there too. Carnage popping off a shot already, so we're going to be looking for some nice rail hits to try and lock down the health pools of some of these players and bring them down low. It's a nice way to close out. It's a nice way to keep your opponent from getting too aggressive on you. And, well, oof, Pitt almost making a big mistake there. We did see Carnage actually having the rails out at the time, but hopefully Pitt didn't.
Yeah, both players, in these high-level matches, the first frag is really critical. So, oh man, this is some nice railing by Carnage there to put Pitt on the defensive. He's probably going to go in for a kill here, I think.
Yeah, Pitt had to pretty much completely fall back here now because he was down at about 5 armor overall. The shield might save his life here. Carnage able to get some good damage on the teleport itself. You can see the 95 rolling in, just not enough to completely knock out Pitt, as he has that massive health pool to still work himself off of right now. And Carnage, unfortunately, is not going to get the peek from Pitt at all. He has to go up to the top ground here to look for it. He almost gets hit by that rail, but great stuff so far from Carnage. He's definitely dominating most of these duels, just hasn't been able to really find positioning to go in and get the closing shot to complete that first frag just yet.
Yeah, Pitt actually did an excellent job with the defensive shield there by Mega Health. He really did save his own life because Carnage was going in for the finish right there. So, and it really got him a stack back. But now he's low again. I mean, you got to give credit to Carnage. Like you said, he seems to be winning their head-to-head when they're getting in these toe-to-toe battles. It seems like Carnage is getting a little bit better of those exchanges.
Carnage is getting aggressive here now because you can look. He split the timers a little bit. They're pretty much opposite of each other, 15 and 30 seconds. So it gives Carnage plenty of time to now try and continuously control both of these power-ups as he does right now. You can see the excess health, but it's now gone. And also the excess armor too, which gives him a little bit of a buff going into the fight. And he needs that as well going up against the champion he's currently facing. The clutch there with all that extra health that he can pick up comparatively to just the Rangers. Working with just your basic health pool for the most part. Carnage wants to complete this. He needs to be careful not to get too over-aggressive, as we saw how well Pitt was able to play when he was forced into a defensive situation. What's great about the fact that it's taking Carnage so long to get this kill, though, is that if he does finally get it and he's able to control Pitt's respawn, then he could essentially just run this down to the timer too, since we already are past 3 minutes. There's only 2 minutes left in the regulation time for this round.
Yeah, we're getting down to real nitty-gritty of the round where that one frag could determine it. Assuming you still have a decent stack and they don't spawn and rush you right after. So yeah, I expect both players to kind of be a little tight right now, you know, because you know right now if you give a frag, it's rough.
Carnage again doing some decent damage with the LG that time. Just not enough to lock him down. And unfortunately, Carnage, like I said before, has ended up in a pretty unfortunate position a lot of the time when he ends up getting this damage, so he's not really in a spot where he can immediately chase down Pitt and complete the kill. You've seen him try to do it a few times, just Pitt has a lot of options to escape. There's a lot more like side corridors and areas to hide on this map comparatively to the Corrupted Keep, where it's a very small arena for these players. There's not really a whole lot of room to escape once you're locked into a fight. It's a lot more different here on this map, as you can have these super long-range duels with the railgun here.
Yeah, and also because of the heavy items, you know, the Mega Health and the heavy armor being on opposite sides of the map, you can really play one side of the map and start to play passive. And if your opponent also does that, plays the other side of the map, then you get a really defensive battle. So it's up to these guys. Oh man, this is great shooting.
He's so close, Carnage. He's done so much damage in this round. I'd love to see the scoreboard after this round as well, just to see the difference in overall damage that's been done here. But with the timer being under 30 seconds now, it is essentially going to become whoever gets this initial kill will win the round.
Yeah, Carnage is in great shape right now. Does smooth. You grab the heavy armor, rocket jump to get positioned back up the bridge quickly. He can afford it because of his stack. I expect him to look for some damage here, but he's definitely going to want to secure that Mega Health, which he's going to now. And he's in great position now. So Pitt is probably going to try to get this next heavy armor. It's debatable here. It depends if his shield is up or not. It's going to be really risky.
Yeah, and for sure now, as we edge into overtime here, Carnage with that advantage, he just has to maintain it now and be able to complete that kill, and he will take round number 1 here on our second map, and he'll be well on his way to pushing forward into a series victory too. Move in to lock down his opponent, does read into that situation well, but the shield is unfortunately going to kill it again. Oh, there it is. Another Dire Orb frag coming out from Carnage this time, and he uses it to win the round as well. Beautiful stuff.
Wow. I mean, look at this. I mean, first I thought, okay, I thought he was baiting the shield, honestly, right? I thought he was going to bait the shield, you know, run back off, pick up the Mega Health again, and then come back to get the finish. But instead, he's like, nah, I'm just going to throw this Dire Orb up right now and close the show.
Works perfectly. What a way to end the show indeed. Is now Carnage going to jump right back into the fight this time. He is exposing himself a little bit here, trying to go for the full armored pickup, so left himself in the open, but was able to pick it up, and still has a little bit of excess after the fight too, so works out okay for him. Even Pitt down at basically just 100 HP currently, so he still has a huge advantage over Pitt, despite being in a pretty aggressive spot before trying to get the armor. Oh, nice shot on the rail too. Didn't even have the accelerated movement going, but still wasn't enough to dodge the rail from Carnage.
Yeah, nice little adjustment. You can see it with the mouse, the quick little flick up. Those little fine movements, this is why these guys are where they are, man.
Yeah, it's looking good for Carnage to get revenge now from that Week 2 qualifier. If things continue the way they're going right now, Pitt's going to have to step up here real soon, as this is definitely looking like a map that Carnage has had a lot of practice on, and he's very well prepared for, at least to go up against Pitt here.
Yeah, and one of the things, coming from an online qualifier to LAN, and this is something I can speak to directly, especially with my experiences, is that LAN really is a little bit of a different game. It really is. It speeds up. Your projectiles, rockets will feel more responsive. The game will just feel faster, so it's up to you to adjust kind of to that speed. Some players really do rise on LAN compared to how they play online, so it's really curious. And some people actually don't do as well as they do online, and they kind of falter on LAN, so it's always interesting to see how people adjust.
I'm not sure if we saw a mistake from Pit there, or if he just didn't realize that it actually spawned at the time that it did, but he was standing right next to the full armor, but for some reason just completely bypassed it, didn't pick it up, and ran out of the room, giving it to Carnage for free. That was a little weird. I guess Pit just didn't notice that it spawned there for some reason, so he actually gives up quite a big power over to Carnage, and now he controls both of them, with a split timer too. Yeah,
another thing that can happen to a good player is that you're so familiar with the map, a lot of times you'll back into items knowing that they're going to come up, and so he might have thought he grabbed it, and then he did not. So there's some of that could happen as well.
Nicely done for Pit. There's a great rocket there to completely kill Carnage's engagement. He was getting ready to leap up over top onto the rail spawn there and then pursue into the other hallway to find Pit, and he's going to be able to line up a nice rail shot for him. The force shield pop. Is he going to take the port? Nope, was just trying to bait with it. But is not going to choose to take the fight anyways. Unfortunately, Carnage is also a little bit low. Well, low in the terms of the fact that he doesn't control either of the power-ups right now, or doesn't have the advantage of having them in his arsenal. He's just sitting at his basic health and armor, and Pit was still at a good 150 or so HP, so chose to fall back, chose to not take that fight temporarily.
Yeah, looking like we got a little bit of a standoff, just like the first round. It looks like neither guy's getting anything going early. It might come down to that one frag, here in the last, couple minutes, like the last game, the last round, should I say. It's getting very interesting. Seeing, Pit's doing a good job. You got to, Carnage is running both items right now, so Pit has been doing, even the last round, he's doing a good job of trying to minimize circumstances where he can get fragged, right, when he doesn't have control, and he wants to push when he has his shield up. You can see the strategy. But Carnage, to his credit, is doing a good job of not letting him see. He had to pop a shield defensively, and that's not what he wants to do. He wants to get in position to use it offensively and get in his face, use the rocket, pop the shield, get the kill. So now Carnage is doing a great job. He has him on the ropes right here. I'd be surprised if he doesn't look for him for a frag.
Pit fails at his primary goal right there. You can see he was just camping out, really trying to get that mega health, but he was brought down to 3 HP in the process. So did have to escape, did have to dodge away from the fight there. Try to survive for another day, but with no power-ups, it's going to get difficult. And once again, as you were mentioning before, the timer is being run down incredibly far just to get this first kill. We're approaching the 1 minute mark in 20 seconds, so that's not going to leave a whole lot of time for Pit to refrag if he does end up going down first again. Since Carnage is, just like the first round, really controlling the entire situation right now.
Yeah, and I know some people, if they view Pit, they'll be like, what's he doing? Because it will come down probably to that one frag, he has to be very careful right now not being in control. So you want to utilize the light armors, the health bubbles, get your normal stack. See, now he's in a much better position with the shield. This is what he wanted, and he got the kill.
Cornered Carnage as well there, so nice timing on the initiation itself, as Carnage does not have anywhere to run in that situation. Got some great bounces off of the rocket. Pit, great timing on that initiation. Now he's got this great advantage all of a sudden as he spins this around completely against Carnage's favor. Carnage is being sneaky though, but a misread. Was hoping his opponent would go through the portal. Still has a chance to chase him down right here, but he's got to be careful not to get ultra aggressive, as now it's a Nyx versus a Clutch. That does not really favor the Nyx in open combat, so now that he's been revealed and he didn't initially get the kill, he's got to be very careful about the way he takes the rest of this fight. As like that, he could just end up getting railed out with one shot, and that'll end his life.
Yeah, he knew that the clock was running down, so he was just trying to be really aggressive. And Pit landed his shots. It's really hard to do that at this level, to push into somebody. These guys all are really top notch. They don't miss the easy shots very often. So when you come right at them, that's just bread and butter for these guys. They'll line you up.
And of course, at the end there, Carnage realizing there was no way he was going to be able to make a comeback. He had 10 seconds to get 2 kills. Essentially impossible. So just giving that one up there to his opponent and allowing for the tie to come in, bringing us to a 1-1 scoreline.
Yeah, very well played. Kind of how I mentioned what Pit was doing. He's roaching around the bottom, taking the armors, taking the health, get his basic stack up, get that shield back, and then ambush. To swing the tide. That's one of the things I love about Quake Champions. The time to kill ambushes are really in play, even if you don't have a major item. As long as you have your base stack, if you get a good ambush on somebody in this game, they're toast.
Carnage getting a lot of damage off with the super machine gun right now. As he pushes up, he's able to actually bring Pit down quite low. Pit was trying to do a little bit more, as you can see, I believe, with the LG there, but connect as much. That's a great return, though, from Pit. The rocket damage there, pretty much destroying all the progress that Carnage had made a few seconds before. Now he is going to be able to move in, getting that full health. And for Pit, he's looking for the jump down. Didn't get it though, but he was able to easily hop back up, connect onto one rail shot. Saw the dire report, misses the rail follow, but now he's gonna get right up close and an immediate rocket shot to claim the first kill again. Suddenly the game sped up a little bit. We got the first kill happening before we've even hit the minute mark.
Yeah, just good play by Pit. I mean, one, going to the Mega Health, you know, he's really measuring Carnage, waited for him, came up the jump pad, got the hit, and then got aggressive with the shield, the rockets, again, using that clutch mobility. I like how Pit plays clutch. He plays clutch really well.
He was finally put into a position, too, where I think he could actually go back to that more aggressive play style that we were seeing a lot more of in the first map. He really didn't have the capability to do it before. Now, look, you can see it. He's using the shield really well, negating basically all of that LG damage. He brought it close, as you can see. Only 10 HP at the end of the fight, so Carnage making aggressive here again to look for a refrag. But beautiful use of the shield, and just like before, just like we saw back on round number 2 there as well, where he was finally able to get that first kill, corners his opponent, waits for the perfect timing to where there's no escape, and he's able to move in where he has an ultimate advantage in the fight.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it was planned. It seemed like he baited Carnage into a little bit of, you know, self-sense of security. You know, he allowed Carnage to hit a little bit of that lightning gun first to close distance, then he popped the shield, and then as we saw in the replay, look at the care that he took with taking the time to land those important shots. As we saw, he was at 10 health, so if he doesn't take that care and misses that shot, you know, so it's important to not panic. He had the time with the shield, and he landed the shots.
Another little edge-off shot there from Pit, tried to hit the rail too, which might have actually ended it. Carnage may have been able to survive that rail shot, maybe 1 or 2 excess, but now he was able to fall back, but he's able to get the full armor pickup, so he's back to an okay amount of health to work off of. And for Pit, he's locking down those rail shots once again. He's being so sneaky, even on such a big character like Clutch. Gotta be a little careful now because of the stealth pop, but he follows his opponent perfectly, chasing him down to the next room. The Nyx is still gonna be a little bit faster than the Clutch in certain situations here, so Pit as well doesn't just want to dive into a fight that he knows he's gonna take massive damage from, trying to read into his opponent's movement, but the last second, the Nyx on Carnage does end up turning back around, so Pit's finally gonna give up on this fight as he's also taking quite a few hits here and he needs to recover his armor and health.
Nice little juke by Carnage, changed direction and left the rocket for his opponent who's going to go cut him off. This is very intense right now. I mean, Carnage, if you're Carnage right now, you're just looking to get about 1 frag. I mean, you get that 1 frag, you still have 2 minutes. Figure if you can get into the next 30 seconds or so, you're looking really good.
Oh, he's trying to chase it down right now, but oh, at the final moments of that last fight there, Carnage actually, or Pit, excuse me, I think actually lost the position of Carnage. Thought he went through the portals to try to chase it down himself, but all he ended up doing was turning his back to his opponent while he still had the shield up. So things got a little bit too chaotic for Pit. He lost track of his opponent, and with that, the Nyx was just barely able to win that fight, buying Carnage a little bit more time here. He's got 1.5 minutes to get 1 more frag, or Carnage will win it out on the timer.
Yeah, Pit's got to be careful playing too defensive right now. There's a lot of time on the clock. He needs to make sure he keeps his stack up because, you know, Carnage is going to look for that one good ghost walk engage right now. And Pit's got to be careful. I don't know what his arsenal's looking like. Did he pick up a rail yet or anything? Because when you die, that's one of the things that, not just your stack, but you're losing your weapon arsenal. So not having a rail or a lightning gun or a rocket can really hurt you.
And Carnage is barely keeping himself alive there too with the pop of that stealth. He's able to save himself for a couple of seconds. Carnage now trying to fall back, looking for the re-engagement as he drops back down. But Pit is long gone. He's well over towards the other side of the map, waiting for the full armor to come back up. So both of those power-ups are pretty much on even timers right now. But Carnage, he's going to get aggressive. He's going to bypass the free Mega Health pickup to go over here, trying to counter with the armor. Nice flick from Carnage, hit the rail shot. His opponent does pick up the armor, but he's continuing to get these rail shots left and right. There's another switch up, and Carnage is going to dive right back in. He has that second kill, and now we're tied back up, bringing things down to a 1v1. Another Nyx v Nyx battle with only 30 seconds to go in the round.
That was an excellent play. You know, I know you're questioning why did he leave the Mega Health. It's because he knew, he saw the clock. So he knew that Pit was making the assumption that he was going to grab the Mega Health as well. And so he just said, heck with it. I'm going to push your item too. And landed some great shots. And way to keep his head in the game. Switch the machine gun, get that finish there at the end. Don't try to get too fancy. You already did the fancy shots to line it up, you know, to get him ready. Great finish. It looks like we're going to sudden death again, looks like.
Unless someone gets a kill in about 5 seconds here. Pit almost hit a head-on rocket against Carnage when you saw he tried to go for the full armor pickup. The problem here now is Pit trying to look for these nice little rocket shots has now given up both of the power-ups. So Carnage has complete control. In a moment, he's going to run back over here trying to go for the armor. He does have the low ground, though, so he needs to be careful against Pit. But he waits, and now he's going to be able to dive back in. Both of them pop stealth at pretty much the same time. A little bit later from Pit there, but now in range, there we go. There's the shot from Carnage, and he closes out the complete reversal from Carnage as he takes control of round 3 now, taking the lead 2-1.
Clutch, that's all I need to say. What a comeback there by Carnage. One to get the tying frag, first of all, was just brilliant. And then there at the end, it really wasn't the balance because they both ghost walked. They were both kind of low, and he just landed that rail. Like, Carnage really heating up right now.
So with that, back under control here now after slipping up a little bit back on round 1. However, a player like Pitty's now back on the clutch, which we've seen him use quite well in the previous rounds. This has been his, where a lot of his power has come from, and a lot of his frags too. You can see that massive health pool that it has to work with. Pit, though, is going to be choosing to take the low ground right now, and for Carnage, he's still hunting. He's got pretty much a full kit to work with, but he's using to roll that SMG, still diving into the fight. He's doing pretty decent damage with it.
I honestly think that's a good tactical play to utilize, you know, the machine gun like that at range, especially because, as we talked many times, the hitbox and clutch is huge. So 10 damage. I mean, you're whittling that down so fast. You're going to force him either to fly, to run, or pop a shield from range, you know, because clutch doesn't want to be there for him.
Yeah, and if you can get the fight at range, too, on the SMG, and you know how to control it well, then you can do the zoom in. I think it goes up to 15 damage at that point per tick as well. So, oh, nicely found from Carnage, though, gets himself into a nice little fight here where he has the advantage because of a direct rocket hit, but he's going to fall back because he's only about 2/3 of his HP, so he's got to be a little bit careful about the way he plays this. Armor Spawn coming up in a second, took a big risk by heading up there. If he got hit by that rail shot, he would have almost been dead there. But he was able to pick up the armor. Now he's back into a great position, and he can try to chase down Pit, who also was just barely able to scavenge through, getting the armor before he dived back down into the bottom there. Hit a nice rail shot, once again bringing Carnage's health down relatively low.
Yeah, Pit was going to try to get a kill there, and then, you know, it was a good calculated risk because he knew he could back off the mega health like he did if he didn't get it. So yeah, this is really in the balance. Both guys making really good decisions. You know, it's coming down to these guys landing some amazing shots.
Carnage trying to get around that shield here. Has a very short duration, so he's okay now. Was able to get out of the fight too, surviving with 75 damage there. So he escapes, and now we'll look to scavenge with the mega health coming up. Should have easily seen Pit coming back in through the LG room there. And as a result, Pit also knows that he got spotted, so he backed up. He's now trying to navigate through the bottom part of the map to try and get a better position against Carnage here. Carnage, I think he's lost the position of Pit, so he's going to play really slowly right now to sit back and listen to figure out where Pit's going. And there you go. Now he's found him, gets that nice free rail in the engagement. That's a big hitbox, so the second one's pretty easy to hit there too. Great damage being done. Unfortunately, Pit's able to negate most of that pretty quickly by going in and getting the full armor pickup.
Yeah, but still, I like what Carnage is doing. He's picking at him, using the hit scan weapons from range. That's not Clutch's strong point. Clutch, like we've seen, he wants to get in your face with the rocket or a shotgun with the shield up and really push the issue. So putting him in those long-range positions gives him a chance to bait that shield or put Pit in a little bit of a worse situation than he wants to be. So I like how Carnage is playing, but I like how, you know, Pit's not exactly making it easy on him either. So there is a lot of back and forth right now. Neither guy's giving an inch. I mean, we're 3 minutes in, no frags. I mean, these guys are really evenly matched.
Both missing their initial rail shots, and I think Carnage misses the port a little bit there too. He's going to be forced to fall back. He's in a really bad spot, but he's still trying to continue this fight. Another missed rail. He's at 100 HP, but no armor basically here. Only a quarter of it to work with now. As he dives back up on top, he's got a little bit of an advantage to play off the bridge, but his opponent's also going to jump up there too. Great LG counter coming out from him, and the final rail shot to close out on the first kill at 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
It's interesting because I know right there kind of what both players were thinking. You know, Pit had a good opportunity. He knew Carnage was low, but when you go up like that and rocket jump in the air, especially as a class as big as a Clutch, you saw what Carnage was also thinking. He was waiting for that rocket jump. And he was like, I'm going to line you up with this lightning gun, and I'm going to make you hit this shot that, you know, and he missed. And once you miss and you're getting lined up with the lightning gun like that, it's really tough to recover.
Carnage was able to hold his ground there too on the fresh respawn coming out now for the Ranger on Pit. Almost got brought down, but survived the initial fight with 25 HP. So backed away, returned some decent damage on the Pit too. So now he's ready to fight once again, that he's got the full armor pickup. He has to locate his opponent there. Sees him now. He's got that dire orb up too, so you can expect a port from him potentially if he wants to use it. Health is a little bit low though, so that's a risky move to do. But he's like at 50 HP. If he can recover it back up to 100, so no reason why he wouldn't want to try and dive back in to take that next fight when he's given the opportunity. I'm trying to read into a rail shot here too. He's a little bit less consistent with the rails, but thankfully that time he hits him head on, and for some reason Pit just continues to stand out in the open there, taking that fight despite the obvious health advantage that Carnage had, so basically gives him that second kill, and now Carnage, well, he's got a nice little 3v1 advantage, and there's only 20 seconds left in the round, so unless Pit can get 2 kills here in 20 seconds, it's going to be going to Carnage, and he's going to take control of the second map.
Yeah, I think that's the win for him too.
Yeah, so with that,
that's a heck of a game. You know, credit to Carnage, because you know we did see him Pit take him out in week 2. I have mentioned earlier that, you know, LAN is a different animal to deal with, but I really like, you know, Carnage's rail got really started to heat up there at the end. He was landing some really, really good shots. Pitt at the end, credit to Pitt, you know, he got out of that rail battle. He saw the clock was running low, and he's like, hey, you know, if I'm going to get a rail battle, this is it. This is my chance. I just need to land some shots and make him miss. And, you know, Carnage got the better of him. But, you know, it's a good job for Pitt. I mean, this is his first big experience. It really is. I can't stress enough how much, you know, psychology and emotions go into this. So it's a big thing to overcome when you're first trying to break onto that big stage. So we'll see how he adjusts going to next thing.